Right, I'm back. Let's go. I have actually changed the battery on here, so let's see if we can make it all the way around to Arnos Grove, or back to Arnos Grove. It looks like I've got enough. Yeah, I've got enough memory card left. The main thing is the battery, is the camera. It does get very hot. It is hot, so it may well just overheat and shut down. But we'll see how far we get. It'd be nice if we managed to do what we would call a rounder, because I'm getting off at Arnos Grove for my break. Yeah, I was just double checking I'd put the right details on. Yep. So I think this must be the longest run between two stations we have on the Piccadilly Line. There's two evacuation shafts. I appreciate it's not too much to see. First evacuation shaft's coming up on the left hand side. You'll see the light on just here. I can't remember the name. One is Sanctuary Road and the other is Wessex Road, I think. I have put them on a video before. Whilst we're running up here, someone did ask me to give them a shout out. Now, I forgot on the last video that I did, and then when I did remember, I couldn't remember what name it was, but it was Tattoo Joe. So Tattoo Joe, I hope you're watching this, and hello, and sorry I didn't get it on the last video, but you're on here. Tattoo Joe, hello, welcome, glad you enjoy the videos. This signal you can see ahead, if that's red, it's called a pop-up signal and won't actually show until you're close to it. Not too close, but close-ish. I can't remember the last time I saw it red. I'm talking years ago, but it's called a pop-up signal. And don't ask me why. I think, yeah, I really don't know. It doesn't seem to make much sense, but I'm not a signal designer. I can just about make out the difference between red and green, and that's as much as I know about them. So another evacuation shaft is just coming up. You'll see the light just ahead, again on the left-hand side. Just here. Obviously what I'd love to do is stop the train and go and have a look, but I might get into trouble for that. So next stop is Terminals 2 and 3. Some lights ahead, that's Pickex Junction. There is some points off to the right hand side, so we could go into the westbound platform and then change ends and go down to Terminal 5, or just go through the westbound platform and carry on east. On the left hand side just here is some tracks, and that's for the train that comes from T5. We're clearing the platform at Terminals 2 and 3. Terminal 1 doesn't exist anymore. A couple of years back they did change the digital voice announcer on the train to take out Terminal 1, but all the signage at the station still says 1, 2 and 3. And some staff still call it 1, 2 and 3. Good evening all, welcome to London. Hello all, welcome. I sounded enthusiastic, didn't I? last stragglers on. Yeah, let's go. So we've got 25 mph speed limit. There are points here because you can reverse here, so you can come westbound and reverse. I have done that, it's on one of my videos, please check that out. This section always reminds me of the film Alien. I don't know why, I'm just expecting an alien to jump out from the ceiling, or the roof, whatever you want to call it. Speaking of things jumping out, recently, I want to say recently, over the last 2 or 3 weeks, a lot of people have been asking me about the underground being haunted. I can be honest, I've never seen anything. I know a member of station staff sent a message on one of the videos recently saying, oh now where was it? I think he said Bank was haunted. Allegedly Holborn and Covent Garden I think are haunted. I know some of the drivers say that Down Street Sidings is haunted. I've never seen anything. So yeah, which is probably good. Although I don't think we've got too much to worry about from the dead. It's the living these days you have to be careful of. Anyway, we're coming down towards Hatton Cross. So Hatton... There's a red signal first though, so I'm just going to slow down. It is quite a distance away, but even so. I don't want to be too close to the train in front that I have to keep stopping at red signals, because it's frustrating for me, it's frustrating for the passengers, and I've got to keep making announcements. Not that I mind making them, but so I will try and slow down a little bit. I don't mind seeing reds, but I don't want to say be stopping at them if I can avoid it. Obviously if I have to stop before anyone comments, I will. We don't want to be having what's known as a SPAD, signal passed at danger, which is basically going past a red signal. It's far too much like hard work to do that, so I avoid it at all costs. Now when we get on the platform here, we do sit there slightly longer because the digital voice announcer goes on for a little bit longer, just telling passengers, anyone for Heathrow Terminal 4, to change platforms. Now I know we've come from Terminal 4, but there may be passengers that's got on at Terminals 2 and 3 wanting Terminal 4. Yeah, that makes sense. Try and work out 1923. Okay. Just trying to work out whether we're on early or... I think we're running early now. We'll have to see. The advantage could be if we are running early, they might hold us at Northfields, and in the past when they've held me at Northfields because I'm running early, they've held me in the local line, which could be good because I did film it the other day, but it was at night and I've not looked at the footage yet. On my last video I said that I'd filmed going into Arnos Grove sidings, however when I looked at the footage it's so dark you can barely see anything, so that's why I've not put that video out. But yeah, if we could do it in the day, that'd be great. But I'll work out if we're early or late as we get a bit nearer towards Acton Town. It's easier to work out then. I think from here it's about 20 minutes, which means we're running about 10 minutes early. Can't be right. Anyway, let's not worry. So once again, I'm going over Crane Bank. Beautiful summer's evening. It's now 18:51. Still Friday. So going on the eastbound, which we're doing now, it's actually a little rough on this side. On the westbound, you can do 45 mile an hour, it's lovely and smooth. This side, not so much. So as a general rule, I do somewhere between 30, 35. I'm going to bring this one down a bit actually, because it's a bit rough. Obviously, you can't smooth out every lump and bump. You've got to remember there could be passengers stood up. I don't want anyone getting injured. Hounslow West on the east. You can see why I get confused. And it doesn't take a lot to confuse me, as I'm sure you remember, or know. Once again, if you are new to this channel and you haven't already done so, please subscribe. Hit that bell notification to be notified when a new video comes out. Give it a like, share, leave a comment. Even if this video's not for you, I do have some other videos. I'll be doing some travelling. So what have I got planned coming up? I'll tell you what, we'll talk about it after the next station. For those of you who have not watched my other videos, I'll let you know the sort of thing I've got coming up that I'll be putting on the channel, as well as my Piccadilly Line videos. But let's get stopped in the platform. I think that's the most important thing right now. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Hello, hola. Yeah. And yes, I am a screw loose. So we're going to pop outside now, and we'll be outside pretty much until just after Barron's Court. There is a little bit as approaching Hammersmith that goes, I wouldn't really call it underground, more of a bridge, a big bridge, but anyway, I'm waffling as usual. Right, so what have I got planned? So we are, where are we? We're the 8th or 9th of August, where are we? The 9th of August. My sister's birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday, sis. You're probably not watching. So, beginning of September, I've got a week off. At the moment, obviously subject to change because things could get cancelled, I'm going to be taking the Caledonian Sleeper from London up to Edinburgh. I've done it before in one of the seats. This time I've got, I think it's a club room they call it. It's basically it's a room with twin let me start again. It's got bunk beds in it, but it's got an ensuite toilet and shower, and hopefully that's on time because I've only got about an hour and a half in Edinburgh before I have to get my LNER train to London King's Cross. That will be in first class, so assuming I make that, I'll be filming that. And the reason I've kept the change is so tight is because there was a huge difference in price, and the one that left about an hour and a half after I arrive in Edinburgh was quite cheap. So, well, for what it normally is. Anyway, I'm waffling about that. So moving on to the end of September, beginning of October, I'm heading off to New York City. I'll be flying with British Airways in first class. I'm only over there for, I think it's 3 nights. Whilst I'm there, I'll be taking a megabus down to Washington, DC, and then I'll be taking the train in business class back to New York, and then back to the UK in business class with BA, but at the minute it's their old business class. Then a few weeks later I'll be going back to New York in economy with British Airways. I'm going with my nephew. That will be more of a holiday. I might film a couple of bits when I'm there, we'll see. Let me just get out of here. And then at the moment, end of January, beginning of February of 2025, I'll be heading off to Bangkok. for 10 days, I think it is. Again, it'll be with British Airways in economy. Again, it's going to be a holiday going with my nephew, but I will try and record some bits, whether it's full videos or whether I just film a few bits for TikTok. We'll see how that goes. But certainly the Edinburgh trip and my first trip to New York, that's all work, that's all for filming. And I hope you lot appreciate that I sometimes have to suffer first class just for you. Luckily, I'm not one to complain. So that was Hounslow Central. This is Hounslow East, on the east, yes. So again, you see we've got a not in use sign there, and that will be the stopping mark for the new 24 stock. There is, I don't know if it's coming out in the cameras of British Airways, I'm guessing A320, A321 just coming into land at Heathrow. Osterley is next. That building on the right hand side there, I believe it is a substation and other bits for the railway. Shows electronics and all sorts in there. Above my pay grade, I can just about manage to get a train to move from A to B. The rest of it, no clue. Really is a pleasant day. Normally I'd have the door open, but I'm just leaving the air conditioning on, hoping that it keeps the camera cool. And this is Osterley. So in a minute I'll talk to you about today's duty. I think I've covered a little bit of it, but I'll go tell you what I'm up to. So we're just coming up to Old Osterley, or Osterley and Spring Grove. You'll see the disused platforms there. And attached to the bridge is the old station building that's now, I think it's called Osterley Bookshop, as I mentioned earlier. That's on the left there. Yeah, so today's duty, I started at 16:39 to be precise. I should have picked this train up 10 minutes later, but as you know from the start of the video I was late. So I should have done Cockfosters, Uxbridge, Arnos Grove, have a break, and then it's Arnos Grove, straight west, back to Uxbridge, and then to Oakwood and Stable. So it's a full 8-hour duty. I had yesterday off. I should have been on nights today and tomorrow, but I struggled to sleep at the best of times. So there's plenty of people that want the nights, so I've given them away. And then I'm off Sunday, and then I'll be working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, then I've got Thursday off next week. And then after that I think it's 7 days on. I haven't looked that far yet, just to give you an idea. So I pointed out when we was going westbound that we could go into Northfields Depot via Boston Manor. So if we was doing it this way, we would have detrained at Osterley. We would come down here and we would stop at when I find the right signal. I haven't done it for, I think it's got to be closer to 7 years. I think it's this signal here. I can't see. Yeah, we'd stop at that signal and we'd get the shunt, and then we'd cut across the points on the right hand side there into the depot. Boston Manor. You'll see they've started to put new gates up, these nice shiny yellow ones, around on different stations. Right, where are we? So yeah, we're definitely early. It's 1902. We're due into Acton at 1923, so 20, we'll just call it 20 minutes. And we're about 7 minutes away, so we're a good 10-12 minutes early. Let me ring up and see if they're going to hold me. If they'll answer. Yeah, 356 just departed Boston Manor on the east. As I'm running roughly 10 minutes early, I'm just seeing if you're going to be holding me at Northfields, over. Yeah, that's all received. All it is, because I get relieved at Acton. Arnos, sorry, I don't want to be blocking up the line up there unless there's a reform, over. So yeah, they're just going to double check. Signal operator is going to speak to control. But it looks like, I was hoping they would put me in the local, but we're going into the fast. Because yeah, the problem is, unless they reform me at Arnos Grove, I'm going to be sat at Arnos Grove for, let's assume we lose no more time, let's just say 10 minutes early we'll get there ish. I'm waiting for relief, which means they've got a platform out of action. At least here they can put trains into the local if I'm in the fast. So what I might do whilst I wait, oh no, yeah, 356 just coming into Northfields on the eastbound fast. Pass your message over. Yeah, that's not a problem. I'd just continue with clear signals then, over. So, yeah, I've just been told to continue. Obviously subject to clear signals. Although we've got a red at the moment. So whilst I'm waiting, I'm just going to turn you off just to save the heat on it, and I'll put you back. So I was only sat there about a minute. I wasn't sure how long we'd be there, so thought it'd just give the camera a chance to cool down, but it hasn't really. So we'll continue onwards. Onwards and upwards Macduff, or something like that. South Ealing is next. Sorry about some of that glare on the screen there. So I mentioned that this train might get reformed. I'm going to talk to you about what a reform is. So every duty, some horrible in my mouth. You're picking up a specific train number at a certain time. So a reform would be, if my train's late, let's say I want train 100, and that's the train I'm waiting for, but it's late, they might say, can you reform train 200? So what you do is you pick up train 200, you then change the number to the one you want. In this case we'll say 100 and make it your train. We also do what we call stock and crew. So we'll use 100 and 200 as an example. So if they said to me stock and crew at Acton Town with train 200, for argument's sake this train's going to Cockfosters, and they could say to me put your train up as an Arnos Grove. So I would. That other train they would say change your train from an Arnos Grove to a Cockfosters, and then when we get there we swap trains and then we change the train number over, so that I'm still running on train 100 to Cockfosters and they're running on say 200 to Arnos Grove. Make sense? Good. That's how that works. When it doesn't go wrong. So reforms are a good way of getting trains on time, or closer to the time. Stock and crews generally are for defective trains. If you're going to say Heathrow and your train's has got a fault on it, and there's a train in front or behind that's going to Northfields, then the easiest thing to do is swap those trains over, so that the driver takes the defective train into the depot and you get a decent train to take to Heathrow, rather than two trains going into the depot. The other thing they do it is, my understanding is some of the maintenance work at Northfields and Cockfosters, each depot does something, can do different work. So sometimes they'll need a train at Northfields, sometimes they'll need one at Cockfosters, so they'll change it around. Yeah, I'm sure you know. There's a District Line train going to Tower Hill. Got a 20-mile-an-hour limit into the fast.
Just out of the lane, Northfield with the crew issue there. Westbound trains approaching now. You'll be getting signals very shortly. Thank you, Control.
Now we've got the signal to go, and the train in the local's been held. The problem is, because we're running early, the signal system would just hold us for our time, so it would hold us here for the 10-12 minutes or what have you. So they put, I think they call it first come first serve, which basically means that I get priority all the way and I won't get held unless they hold me. The signal system won't hold me, because yeah, we're about 11 minutes early. Now let's go, otherwise we're holding up that other train. Next stop is Hammersmith. So yeah, it's good for us, we're not going to get held up, or we're not going to get regulated. Obviously we could still get held up behind another train, or they could manually hold us, but the signal system, the automatic system, won't hold us. Because otherwise the next regulation point would be Hammersmith, and we'd be held there for say 11 minutes, and then the train behind, which might have been on time, is now 11 minutes late. So it looks like there's a bit of congestion on the westbound. I think they said there was an issue at Northfields, just waiting for crew relief as they call it, so waiting for a driver. They could have been on what we call short meal break. We have to have half an hour plus walking time. So if you're late off your first train, you can't pick your next train up on time, depending on how late you are. You need to have that. So I'm going to Arnos Grove, you get 30 minutes plus 7 minutes each way walking, so you've got to have a minimum of 44 minutes from getting off one train to picking up the next one. But the problem with that is then you have trains with no drivers, which you've probably seen in one of my videos before, where it all went a bit wrong and we got to Cockfosters, I think it was 10 minutes after I should have picked up my next train. If you haven't, just check that video out. We're just going to come through Turnham Green here. It's past 7 o'clock, so we're not going to blow the whistle unless someone's close to the edge of the platform. Brook, we can't stop at Stamford Brook on the eastbound, but westbound we could. And the last station we're not stopping at is Ravenscourt Park. Again, we could stop at it, and I have done several times. So if there was an issue ahead and trains were backing up, they would tell me to stop there and open my doors. Haven't done that for a while. We've got a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit coming up, just as we go down this hill. There are flashing lights in the forefoot, but because it's very bright they might not really show up, but you'll just see the little box just here. The lights aren't, I don't know if they were flashing or not, the batteries might be dead. And I think I've explained many a times, this is to slow you down. Just round the corner you've got a 15-mile-an-hour speed limit, so we're downhill, we're round a corner, then you go into the dark, and it's all to protect a signal, Whiskey Delta 8 Alpha, because if you come down too fast and it's red, you're not going to be able to stop. There are several repeaters for it. There's also a signal board just here on the right, just to remind you it's ahead. I think this is the other repeater. I think that's the third repeater for it. Yeah, that's the third repeater, and this is the signal here. The top signal is the signal, the green at the bottom is the repeater for the next one. Where this next signal is on the right hand side, there is a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. I'm clearing for platform. I did about 20-21. Into Hammersmith. There we go. As I was saying on the westbound, the sidings here we can take passengers in, with the exception of from this platform. If I had to go through the sidings now, because it's a shunt move, which is that white disc with a red line under the signal, I couldn't take passengers through without authority. But all the other moves we could, because they're what's called colour light moves. So you'll see Whiskey Delta 10 Bravo is that white disc. That's a shunt. And if I was going into the sidings, that signal would have been red and the shunt would clear, so the red line is at an angle and that would be my signal to continue. Assuming I was going into the sidings. If I wasn't going in and I got that, I'd stay there until I found out what was happening. Surface stop detector, here's the other one. I talked about it earlier. Just here you see you got the pipes hanging down, tubes, whatever you want to call them. So you'll see there's a surface stop train, the district line, it's taller. Because they can't get across our track now, unless they do it at Acton Town, really you don't need surface stop detectors. Marietta, she watches my videos. Hello Marietta. She was my bodyguard when I had to take the rail replacement bus, but she made me come back on my own. She wouldn't wait the 2.5 hours till I finished, which I think is miserable. Barons Court. Just gonna let this gentleman get on. There we go. Let's go into the dark. So back into the pipe, which means between here and Arnos Grove, where I'm getting off, assuming that's still what's happening, we've got 21 stations. So there's a 20-mile-an-hour limit just before we go into the tunnel, so just by the tunnel mouth. And that is to protect another signal that I've talked about before, Alpha 655, which is a speed controlled signal. So if you're going too fast, it will never clear. But just because you're doing under 20 doesn't mean it will clear either. But you should be able to stop. So even though they've changed it to a 20, you see it up there on the top there, they've still got the flashing lights because it used to be 25. And I believe the signalling diagram and everything still shows it as 25, and that's why I believe it still has the temporary speed restriction lights. So like Alpha, like Whiskey Delta 8 Alpha, there are several repeaters for that signal. So there's one here, there's one round the corner. There's also a brake board just on the left hand side. There's a B, and the idea is if you brake at that point, you'll stop as long as you're doing the speed limit. There's another repeater, I think, yeah, and then the signal's just behind it. Also, as we come down just before you went in the tunnel, there was another, excuse me, checkered board reminding you about that signal. So you can see the flashing lights ahead. That's for the end of the temporary speed limit. Yeah, it used to be 25. I think 2 years ago or so they dropped it down to 20. Earl's Court is next. So far one of the busier days that I filmed. Every other time I try to do it, we're right behind another train and we hardly pick anyone up. So let's move my seat out of the way. So the seat just folds up. So I'm going to stand up for a little bit, not too long, because I'm old and you get all the bouncing around goes through your knees and your hip. It just gets unpleasant. Right, Gloucester Road is next. there is another speed restriction, a temporary speed restriction, coming up of 25, and that's for sighting distance from a signal. So what that means is if you were doing full speed, by the time you saw the signal, if it was red, you wouldn't be able to stop. So they've reduced the speed so that if it's red, by the time you see it, you'll be able to stop, or should be able to. So it starts just here, 25. And it's to protect this signal here. And as you see then, the flashing lights there are for the end of it. And it looks like we're clear into Gloucester Road. See how busy that is. Quite busy for Gloucester Road. Usually pretty quiet. Make your mind up. They get on, they get off. They get on, they get off. Well, I'm going without you, sorry. But anyway, South Kensington. Which means after South Kensington, you know we've got the South Ken Bends. So now's the time to go and make yourself a cup of tea. Not for me though, thank you. I've got a coffee here, but thanks for the offer. Although I will go for a chocolate hobnob if you've got one. Or a bourbon, I do like a bourbon. And that's a bourbon biscuit, not bourbon as in the drink. South Kensington. So as one of my sisters would say, it's not millions busy, but reasonably busy. I'm sure when she watches this I'm going to get a text with some laughing emojis. Yeah, not millions busy. As I've said, there might be some wheel screeching, so stick your fingers in your ears or turn the volume down. And we've got a 15 mile an hour speed limit, temporary speed limit, same as on the westbound. Although the flashing lights were really dirty, so they might not have come out on the camera. Next stop is Knightsbridge. I do expect Knightsbridge to be busy. On the right hand side here you just see a brick wall, that's Brompton Disused Station. Or Brompton Road Disused Station, I should say. So that's the end of the restriction. We've got another 2 speed restrictions. Just by the signal ahead is a 25 and then just round the corner is a 20. So I normally just brake all the way down to 20 rather than brake to 25 and then brake a few seconds later down to 20. So I'm doing about 26 there. Just going to start braking now. mph there, and just let it roll into the platform. See if it's millions busy. I think it's certainly the busiest it's been when I've recorded anyway, off the top of my head. And to give you an idea of the time, we're at 19:28. Hyde Park next. With it being a nice day, could be busy. Obviously with Hyde Park being there. Hence why it's called Hyde Park Corner. On the corner of Hyde Park ish. So there was a speed limit just when we left, but it's one of them speed limits where these trains can't get up to the speed because it terminates just here. Obviously new trains are a bit different, they might be able to get up to the speed, but for these that was one we don't need to worry about. Relatively busier than normal, but not as busy as when they've got the concerts and things like that on, and Winter Wonderland. That'll be here. When does that start? November, so it won't be long.
Piccadilly information customer service update. Piccadilly Line 9 today is active at
Right. I've done it again, haven't I? Let's do. Due to lift maintenance work, there's currently no step-free access from the Piccadilly Line at Green Park until approximately November this year. Thank you. Every time. Every time. Anywho, never mind. Where are we? So Green Park, which means we're going to pass down street. Again, you won't be able to see much. Got a 30 mph speed limit. Down street is there on your right hand side. So we've still got the 30. Oh dear, sorry. Ugh. And just before the platform it drops down to 25. It's often a busy platform. You change here for things like Jubilee Line, Victoria Line. I think this is the closest station on this line, certainly for Buckingham Palace. And look, there's hardly anyone here. Makes me look stupid. And I really don't need any help. I'm going to sit back down. Don't know how long I'll be able to sit for. A lot of people getting off though. And we're all done. Let's boogie. Oh night long. Oh, I'm gonna have that stuck in my head again, aren't I? Oh. It's a problem with this job. You get a song stuck in your head, and yeah, it sticks with you. But the problem with the songs is I usually only know about one line of it, so I end up singing the same line over and over. I say singing. I sound more like a banshee. But can't be good at everything. You know, I've got my charm, my good looks. If nothing else, my delusional... yeah, my delusions, that's the word I was looking for. Pick Circus. Afternoon all. Getting quite a lot of people getting off. What is it? Pick Circus is Bakerloo Line, isn't it? Change. Go and get your suitcase on. There you go. Leicester Square next, which is change for the Northern Line Charing Cross branch. Buttercup baby, just to let me down. Leicester Square. Yeah, I'd have thought it'd been busier. Maybe people are still out enjoying themselves. With it being a Friday, with it being nice weather. I was going to say with it being payday, but it's not payday for most. There we go. Covent Garden, which is the next station, can often seem a lot busier with it being small. Yeah, we're good to go. Covent Garden. Nice for a wander around if you've never been. Just expensive. Mind you, I haven't been there for 5 or 6 years. Just ahead you'll see a Piccadilly Line train coming. You might just see the lights. That's the westbound. Holborn is next. 20-mile-an-hour speed limit around the bends. Yeah, so that's the gap just on the right hand side where the you can see the westbound. Holborn, you change for the Central Line, again can be a busy station. Close we are to another train. We haven't seen anything, but it doesn't mean you don't come around a corner and find you right behind another train. again, not millions busy. But I'd imagine there'll be a lot getting off. A few, not that many. You'll see on the right hand side a track coming out, and that is from Uxbridge. Just here. Disused, we don't use it. I've never been down there. Coming up, again, if you've watched my videos before, you'll know there's a hidden speed limit just behind this signal. Any of you remember what it is? Can you remember? Well, if you said 25, give yourself a pat on the back. Yeah, just behind this signal is 25 mile an hour speed limit. You might just make it out there. Into Russell Square. Next stop is King's Cross St Pancras. Lots of lines you can change there for. What have you got? Hammersmith and City, Circle, Metropolitan, Victoria Line, Northern Line. You've got Eurostar, you've got Thameslink, you've got EMR, you've got South Eastern, you've got LNER, Great Northern, Lumo, Hull Trains, Grand Central. I think I've covered everything, I think. Yeah, that's close enough. All them trains. Good job I don't know all the bus routes, we'd be here forever. St Pancras holds a special place in my heart because that's where I started my career on the railway about 16 years ago. I used to work on the Gate Line. It's what's now Thameslink, used to be First Capital Connect. So yeah, I worked there for two and a half years, and then I got promoted to revenue team leader, and then I moved up. I was based in St Albans, but still covered St Pancras up to Harpenden. So King's Cross. There was a bit of track there on the left hand side that goes down to the Northern Line, and that's for engineering trains. A couple of weeks back trains were terminating here, and what we was doing is stopping slightly ahead in the tunnel. In the forefoot there's a diamond with an S on it. We would stop there, use end door cutouts so the first couple of sets of doors didn't open, and then passengers could get off, and then the new passengers on, and then we'd go back west. I didn't film it because I didn't do much of this. I was always down the other end. On or off, my friend? No? Okay. So we've got about 20 minutes left to Arnos Grove, or at least it's timetable to take 20 minutes. Obviously we're early. Let's see how early we are. We're due into Arnos Grove at 2016. Yeah, so we're still going to be at least 10 minutes early. hopefully they'll have either a reform for me, or it may be that it's going on the sidings anyway, which if it does, if I've got enough, if the camera's not overheating, I can film with it in daylight, but we'll see. They'll let me know. Coming up on the right hand side, you've got York Road Disused Station. You can just see the light through the doorway on the right hand side. Yeah, just here. Next up is Caledonian Road. We have 3 more signals before Caledonian Road, 2 just before the platform, 1 just round the corner. So that strip of green you would have seen on the right hand side, that's my stopping mark. So basically that green needs to be in the door of the train, in the cab door, and then I'm in the right place. So I have talked before about CSDE, correct side door enabler. So had I not been in the correct spot, I wouldn't be able to open the doors. There's a loop there, just under the platform, and when the train's in the right spot, there's an antenna on the train, and it tells the train that it can open its doors and which side. Obviously, I open the doors with the buttons, but it stops you being able to open on the wrong side. That being said, if the CSDE isn't working, you have to override it. The problem with overriding it is you can then open the doors both sides, so you have to be extremely careful. So the rule is, if you have to override it, you open, they call it proving the platform. They said you used to have to put your foot on the platform. So basically you open the cab door on the side of your platform just to confirm you're on the right side, override the system, and then instead of using the buttons that are on the console in front of me, you use the buttons on the bulkhead, which is behind me or the other side, depending which side we're opening. That way it reduces the risks of you opening up the wrong side, because the console will be live, so you can open up both. That's that in a nutshell. We also have a thing on these trains called a tripcock. It's on the right hand side of the train, probably about the first passenger seat back. That hangs down. What happens is if we pass a red signal, there's a train stop that's in the up position, which is basically a lump of metal that sits up. So if we pass it, it hits the tripcock, releases all the air in the brakes, and the emergency brakes come on. Now we also have tripcock testers. There was one on the eastbound. There was one at Acton Town and one at Barron's Court. If I remember, I'll show you when we get to Wood Green, because that's the next one. And basically, the tester is to make sure that that arm is in the correct alignment. If it's bent, it might miss a train stop, which makes it unsafe to have passengers on. Where are we? Arsenal, or Gillespie Road as it used to be. Yeah, so where that first signal is, if you look between the wall and the track, you'll see, hopefully it'll come out, there's a box. Within that box is like a white arm that pops up, so when the signal's red, that's the arm that pops up, the train stop as we call it, and that would bring the brakes on if we was to pass it. Finsbury Park will be next. 30-mile-an-hour speed limit just round the corner. Change for the Vic line. As is on the westbound, we have got a gap between here and the Vic line, and that is to allow mainly the engineering trains to cross over onto the Victoria line, or vice versa. 30-mile-an-hour limit is just by this next signal. I've been trying to come past here as a Vic Line train does. Every time I film, there's no train here, just here on the right. One just coming now. Yeah, I don't know whether you could see the lights were getting brighter on the track. Yeah, it just come in. Never mind. Always miss it. Finsbury Park. Now, as the Vic Line trains just come in, we're going to get a load of people run across. So I'll be sat here slightly longer than normal, because if I start closing the doors, they will just run into them and try and force them open. So it's easy just to wait. And looks like that's everybody. Don't do it. There's a couple of people there as the doors were closing, were thinking about it, but anyway. Manor House will be next. So from here up to Cockfosters, this is an extension. Again, I'll put down the date it was extended. I think it was somewhere in the 1930s, I think. But I'll check that and put it in here. Put it on the screen, should I say. I'm getting a bit tired of talking, and I love talking to you all. But this video is probably going to be almost 3 hours long. But I know some of you, or quite a lot of you, like the longer videos, so it'll make a nice change. I'm not saying I'm always going to do the long ones like this. Assuming we make it to Arnos Grove. A lot of people getting off here. So we've got a bit of a run now up to Turnpike Lane. Got a 35-mile-an-hour speed restriction a little bit further along. Don't know why my nose is starting to run. It's a shame I don't run, really. I might lose a bit of weight. But anyway, at least I don't have a fat nose. That's from all the run. Oh, you get it. So I'm doing 30 miles an hour, just letting the train roll round, so it's in off and release. It is picking up the speed. 35-mile-an-hour limit is just past this signal ahead, and the track goes round towards the right, around the right. So 35 mile an hour is just there. Round to the right, and then it'll be straight up a hill, and then left and right and left again, something like that. Oh, we caught the train up in front. So the 35 mile an hour limit ends just here on the right hand side. You see the T just there. I don't know whether it come out on camera, but this screen, when I come around the corner, was red. The signal behind it is a repeater that is yellow, so we have caught up with the train in front. So I'm leaving it, it's doing about 30 mile an hour, it's still rolling. We know we're close to the train now. Just going to bring it down a little bit. I would have expected that signal to change by now. Because it hasn't, I'm thinking that things could be a bit slow up to Arnos Grove. If the train was running normally, they would have changed. They've just changed now, but even so, it could be a bit slow. We'll see. It's just about thinking ahead. Because you've got to plan ahead of what you're doing with the train, you can't just stop it on a dime. No, we're clear into the platform anyway. Turnpike Lane. These busy stations for people getting off. Quite a few getting off there. Wood Green is next. As I explained on the westbound, we can terminate trains there. So what we would do is, in fact we'll be doing it when this video comes out, that's what we'll be doing. Trains will go in this direction, stop as normal, detrain, that's get all the passengers off, then we'll go into the sidings and back out onto the westbound. We can also, if we're going west, we can change ends on the westbound and go into the sidings, but the train has to go back on the west. You can't go into the sidings and then onto the eastbound, which is the way we're going. So the only real reason you would go from the west into the sidings is if your train's defective, they'll put you in the they'll get you to go into the sidings out of the way, wait for a technician to come, and then they'll bring you back out. But yeah, for 2 weeks all trains will terminate up here, but we'll do things a little bit differently. What will happen is one driver, so if we was terminating here next week, I would take the train in, a driver would have got on the back, and then that driver would drive it onto the other platform and I'd get off, and then I'd wait for my train, I'd get on the back, that driver would drive it in and I'd drive it westbound. I'll be honest, just for a minute then, I didn't think it was going to stop. But it did. Of course I had every faith that it would. So you can just see the sidings just up there on the right hand side. I haven't been in there this year, so it's probably almost a year since I last went into the sidings. Next stop is Bounds Green, then Arnos Grove, which is where I'm getting off. Which is good because I need the toilet. I do like to share with you all, I think we're friends now. watch keeps lighting up. It doesn't normally do that. Yet for them to tell me what they're doing with me. In fact, I'll check the time at the next station, see how early we are. It's just coming up to 8 o'clock. Ah dear. Bounds green. So yeah, it's we'll call it 8 o'clock. Yeah, I'm not due onto the platform till 8:16, so we're going to be 13-14 minutes early. I'm going to put my seat up. I have a funny feeling when we get there, this train's going to get a green signal with no driver. But we'll see. You can't say I haven't told them. So we'll clear out the pipe now. Let's see what they do. I have every faith that they have a plan and it will be executed perfectly. Okay, so the train in the platform has got the green signal, so we're going to be held at this one and then we'll go into the eastbound platform. But even if they put us in the middle, we'd probably get held at the next signal just before the platform until that train is departed. Yeah, just been held at a red signal, be on the move again shortly. Thank you. Right. Yeah, so 2016, would you? Just putting my bits in my bag. Always look out for your bits. So, place your bets. Is there a driver here, or will it just get a straight green to go? I told you we got a green. So we're 13 minutes early. So, if there's no driver to take the train, I'm going to have to let them know. Right, we turn air conditioning off, and then they'll be able to hear me. Now I'm going to tell them that it sits here for 13 minutes. Yeah, train 356 Arnos Grove on the east. Just to advise, this train I don't get relieved for another 13 minutes, and I've got a green signal already. Over. Yeah, I get relieved at 2016. I was running early. Apparently Control was aware of it because I spoke to the signal operator down at Northfields and they said continue up here and they'll sort it out when I get here. Over. Yeah, it's all received. Thank you. I didn't say over. This is a passenger announcement. I do apologise, we are actually running, believe it or not, about 13 minutes early. I'm supposed to be relieved by another driver. I'm just trying to find out what's going on. For the moment, just stay where you are. Once I get an update, I'll let you know. At the moment, we do have a green signal. They may ask me to take it further, or they may change that, and we'll, if another train comes in, I will let you know. But for the moment, we're just going to be held here whilst we find out what's going on. Thank you. Right, I think that made sense. Let's turn you round. Hello. Let's wait and see. Bit of lippy. I get dry lips. Oh dear. See, I knew this was going to happen, hence why I called up earlier. Okay, so they've just turned the signal back to red. So they call it taking a release on the signal, which is fine because I wasn't going to move the train, but they should have confirmed I wasn't planning on moving the train. Right, I've got a train coming in. I'm going to see where it's going. If it's a Cockfosters, I can send everybody over.
The train now approaching is to Cockfosters. Please stand back from the platform edge.
Here's a passenger announcement. The train that's just coming in to the middle platform should be a Cockfosters service. Once it comes in, that will be departing before we are. This train, once again, will be remaining here, just waiting for a relieving driver as we did arrive early. So I do apologise to mess you around. The train that will be on the middle platform shortly is a Cockfosters service, and we'll depart first. Make another announcement just in case there's anyone left on here. Once again, if there are any passengers on board, train on the right hand side middle platform is Cockfosters service and will depart first. This train's not due to depart for approximately another 8 or 9 minutes. Right, I'm gonna call it a day if you're still there. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. If for whatever reason I have to put this in the sidings or anything, I'll put you back on. Otherwise, take care, and until next time.